Pathologic has a reputation for being incredibly difficult, and for someone picking up the game for the first time, it definitely can be. But once you know a bit about how the town works, Pathologic is easy. To explain how Pathologic can be very easy, I'll be splitting this video into two sections. The first will contain general but very important tips that are spoiler-free for the story of Pathologic, beyond the knowledge that you will be dealing with a plague. The second section will address a few key events in the game that people have found difficult, and will explain how to get through those parts quite easily. Section 2 will still be relatively spoiler-free. There will be little context given for what is occurring, but if you want to play Pathologic without having any idea of what situations you're going to encounter, maybe give that part of the video a miss for now. So let's jump right in with the first decision you will make. When you start the game, you will have the option of playing as either the Bachelor Daniil Dankovsky or the Haruspex Artemy Barak. The third character, the changeling Clara, is locked until you finish the game once. It is recommended that you choose the Bachelor for your first playthrough. He is respected by the townspeople. He is an outsider, so he is provided with more information, allowing you as the player to learn more about what is happening in the town. And he starts his story with full health stats. Once you've picked your character, you will start on day 1 of 12. Day 1 is very important. You will need to use this day to build up your inventory. Everyone watching this video is likely well aware of what happens with shops when there is an epidemic. Day 1 is the day before the townspeople really know what's happening. Once they find out, demand for food, medicine, and other supplies is going to skyrocket, and so is the cost of those items. You can get a small boost to your food supply on day 1 if you are cool with stealing from a grave. This particular grave is located in a small private cemetery here on the map. You can also give yourself a boost on the first day by looting this house right here. It is unlocked and empty, and the guy that lives here is kind of cool about you taking his stuff anyway. You can and should also go grab a free gun on your first day as the Bachelor from this area right here. You will come close to this location when you are completing your day's quest. If you end your first day in town with money, then you are making a big mistake that you are going to regret. Go buy stuff, all the stuff. If you still have money and have run out of useful stuff to buy other stuff and plan to sell it later, after those prices increase. While the shops around town are likely the first place you are going to look when stocking up on food, there is a secondary economy in the town that is even more important: the barter system. The children of the town have a number of useful items that they will trade in return for nuts, needles, and other small items. The little girls, aka teensies, occasionally even have an item called schmauder, which will become very important to you. If you are having difficulty finding enough schmauders, you can farm them by using lockpicks to break into houses and looking for teensies. You can then exit and re-enter houses to gradually obtain more schmauders from the same girl, repeatedly if you have enough items to trade for. Keep in mind though that schmauders are rare items, so you are going to need some patience. While you're inside these houses, you can also loot them. Just try not to kill anyone. Your reputation matters. Food shops will sometimes have nuts, and clothing shops will sell needles. You should buy all of these anytime you see them in order to trade with the children. Trading with children is also a good way to make money. You can trade for things like ammunition and medicines, and then sell these items in shops. If you are hurt and looking to find bandages or tourniquets, the drunkards that you will see around town will give these to you in exchange for bottles of water. Bandages and tourniquets can also be sold to shops, but I don't recommend trading all of your water to do this, as water is also important to you. You can even buy reputation from people. There are beggars around the town who you can give money to in exchange for reputation. The more you give, the more you get. In addition to trade, townspeople can also offer services. Women can repair your clothing, and factory workers can repair your weapons. While people can make your time in the town easier, they can also make it more difficult. There are some quests, including main quests, that depend on you convincing people to help you or give you information. If you choose the wrong dialogue options, then you will upset these people and in turn fail the quest, and there is no way around it. The only thing you can do is save your game before talking to people, particularly main quest people. Even if you do not think the conversation is going to be difficult, still hit that quick save button. On the topic of saving though, don't just rely on your quick saves. You only have 2 quick save slots, so if you mess something up or take too long to do something, and then quick save twice before realizing this, then your only options are to press on or to reload a manual save. My recommendation is to manual save at the start of each day, and at least once during the day. Each day in Pathologic lasts 2 hours, so think about how much time you're willing to spend replaying a section of the day and save accordingly. Time is vital in Pathologic. Those 2 hours that you get for each day, minus any time you spend sleeping, is not long to figure out what you're meant to do and to finish your quest for the day. So you need to find ways to save time. Check your map often when you're walking across the town. You can't afford to lose time by running into a fence and having to backtrack, and you will want to choose the most efficient route for getting from point A to point B. This includes deciding whether to go through infected districts or trying to skirt around them. Main quests are important, and your focus should be on completing them by midnight of each day. All other quests are optional, though some come with significant benefits for completing them, so do as many of these as you can as well. All of your quests will appear in your quest log. Once you finish a quest, 3 asterisks will appear beside it. You should also check your letters. You will receive a notification when you get a letter, but in case you miss it, you should be checking a couple of times a day anyway. Letters are important as they are one of the main ways that you can get a quest. If you decide to go through an infected district, you should quick save before heading in. The game does become a bit harder if you get infected, so I recommend reloading if you do. To reduce your chances of becoming infected, you can also wear protective clothing and take immunity boosting supplements. Plague clouds are the biggest threat in the infected districts. They can either pop up and remain in place, generally in the middle of the road or a train track, or they will actively pursue you for a short period of time. Later in the game, there are different red plague clouds in the shape of angels, which are harder to avoid, but can also be rendered harmless if you stand very still, though this does not always work. On a related note, keep your eyes peeled for rats. If they see you, they will pursue you relentlessly. They are not worth fighting as they can also infect you. The best thing you can do is duck into a nearby building, which will cause them to despawn. If you ever find yourself not knowing what you're meant to be doing, you should check your letters, your quest log, and your map. If none of these help, then save your game and go around and talk to each of your bound, the list of characters that you'll be given near the start of the game. Once you have discovered what you were meant to be doing and who you were meant to be talking to, reload that save so that you haven't run down the time on the clock for the day, and go talk to that person again. You should also be paying close attention to what people are telling you. Not every bit of information is recorded in your quest log, and as previously mentioned, you can't restart the conversation without reloading a save. Talking to people is going to be the main way that you finish quests. There is not a lot of combat in Pathologic. However, there is some, and you are going to get hurt during your playthrough. When it comes to healing, I recommend that you do this primarily by sleeping. There are medicines that you can take that make you heal quickly while sleeping, and it is generally more efficient than using things like bandages. Those you should be saving for when you are in trouble and can't take a nap. If you are able to take a nap, then remember that drinking water can restore your hunger meter, while also causing exhaustion. So it is a good idea to drink as much water as you can just before sleeping to help save your food supply. Water bottles are refillable, so if you do find yourself in a difficult situation with your hunger, you can repeat this as many times as necessary. As a last general tip, a lot of people do struggle with the combat mechanics of Pathologic. This makes sense as you are not playing as a soldier, you are a doctor, and you are not meant to be good at fighting. However, if you are fighting 1-on-1 or even 2-on-1, then you should be able to get through combat without taking much damage. To do this, you need to move forward while punching or slicing with a weapon, and then back again to avoid being hit. Once you have a handle on the fighting mechanics, or just enough ammunition, you can hunt the knifemen that initially only come out at night, for a reputation boost and decent loot. Fighting takes us into the second section of this video. As mentioned in the introduction, I will be talking about particular situations your characters will find themselves in, which I know can be a struggle to get through. There is a fight that the Bachelor will be involved in that pretty much everyone who talks about Pathologic holds out as an example of the game being difficult and even unfair. At that point, you will have a gun that holds 6 bullets and be faced with 7 knife-wielding opponents. Shooting them will mean needing to reload at least once, and you will almost certainly die a few times before getting through this section. However, you have one skill that these knifemen simply do not. You can jump. In fact, you can jump on top of a barrel, and the knifemen will not be able to reach you. You can then stay up there and eliminate them one by one without taking any damage at all. The other key part of the Bachelor's story that people struggle with involves the Bachelor being in an infected house for a period of time, and trying to avoid becoming infected. You can try to do this by running away from the plague clouds, but it is extremely difficult. Much easier is putting that jump skill to use again, and having the Bachelor cower on a windowsill until he is able to leave the house. Like the Knifeman, the plague clouds simply have no way of reaching you at such unbelievable heights. The other tip I will give you for the Bachelor is this. Earlier in the game, a character will tell you to go see his son, and that his son is close with the Indigenous people. On leaving his house, you will see one of the Indigenous people run past. Follow them. For Artemi, the initial challenge is reputation. A bad reputation in Pathologic means that shopkeepers won't sell to you, and men of the town will attack you on sight. Rectifying this reputation issue is your #1 priority, and the game gives you a couple of ways to do this straight away in the decisions you can make about a child and a wounded man. Make good choices and avoid the townspeople until you do, and your problems will be solved. Otherwise, the main part of the Harrispex's playthrough that will cause you some pain involves leaving a warehouse that you go to as part of the main quest. Artemi will be unavoidably taken into custody and will lose everything that he had on him. Artemi can avoid this though by storing his belongings in a crate inside the warehouse and coming to retrieve these items later. In fact, Artemi can avoid being taken into custody altogether by simply staying in the warehouse until after midnight. But don't do this, as you will rob yourself of part of the story. Escaping custody without becoming infected can be tricky and requires good timing. But as a hint, go left and then down the corridor after you leave his cell. It is much easier to then come back around and dodge the plague clouds that way. You also do need to be very quick when leaving the cell. And also do take the time to give painkillers to the people on the floor if you are having reputation issues again. Finally, for Clara, there are 2 main issues that she will face. Reputation is always going to be a bit of an issue for Clara, offset by how easily she's able to eliminate Knifemen. But there will be a day when her reputation decreases increasingly quickly while progressing through her main quest. If you know this is about to happen, maybe you've reloaded a save, then my recommendation is to do the side quest for the day first, before hitting that reputation self-destruct button. However, you will eventually destroy your reputation, and the easiest way to restore it is by giving a lot of money to a beggar. The other issue with this day is that it will end with you being locked in a house after going to see the Bachelor. If you haven't finished your side quest before going to see the Bachelor, then you won't be able to. Those are the particular situations that I know people have struggled with. If there is another point that you are getting stuck at, please let me know in the comments and I will do my best to help you. If you do just really want to know the story of Pathologic without going through the game yourself, I do have a video for that and it will be linked in the description box below. My next Pathologic video will be on Pathologic 2, so if you are interested in that, please make sure to subscribe and I will see you in the next one.